Planet Vero Studio is powered by the Nolan Group of eXp Realty. MyNextHomeFinder.com. Cindy Grossman. New York City born and raised, luxury retail management was her game. Saks Fifth Avenue and Nordstrom were her jewelry playgrounds. Had enough at 38, fled to Miami, where Neiman Marcus Bal Harbour found her. Recruited to Montblanc, where her regional position challenged her. Met her husband 4 years ago, and Brevard County she did go. COVID hit, she needed a new career fit. Age-defying beauty with Mary Kay, she did say. And now, here's Cindy Grossman.
Hello, 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 and welcome to Mesmerize the Mirror at Any Age. I hope everyone's doing well today. Thank you, Mitch, for coming back to join us.
It's always my pleasure.
That. Jesse, keeping us in line. I appreciate that as well.
Thank you.
And we have a very unique guest, I must say. Very special but unique guest today. Jen Lee is a survivor advocate and also a podcast creator and host. Jen is a mom of 2 boys, both Marines, one active and one inactive reserves. Jen has 20 years of extensive retail management from thrift to luxury. She was born and raised in Michigan. She married in 2018, and shortly after that, she moved to Melbourne, Florida. She started the I Need Blue podcast out of need. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Great. And that is a great story. I think quite a few of us kind of have that story, right? Retail background. We
Yes.
certainly share that in common. But I didn't do the thrift. I kind of stayed with luxury. I didn't do thrift.
I always loved thrift. I love the hunt. I don't like to pay full price for anything. So I'm like always looking for a bargain. Plus,
Oh, you sound like Cindy's mom.
yeah. Hi, Cindy's mom. We could go shopping.
Celia. Can we say Ross? Oh, sorry.
Oh, no.
We're not going to advertise for them.
No, but that was a guy. So from there, you went to luxury.
I actually started in luxury.
Oh, okay.
And then I worked in Seattle Goodwill
Oh, wow.
in that area.
That must have been a huge store.
So, yeah,
right?
the second largest Goodwill in the world. It was phenomenal and probably one of my favorite jobs. It was very unique. The staff that I worked with, I loved it. It's very diverse, very busy, high-paced, highest volume store that I had worked in. Very different from luxury where it's really one-on-one focused, with the customer.
Oh, yeah.
And this was a lot more multitasking than it was just focusing on one person at a time.
I would think that people in the thrift, they don't expect that one-to-one service, correct?
That is correct.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
And I enjoy building relationships and meeting people and things like that. So I haven't been in retail in a little while.
Right.
Kind of miss it.
Yep.
But I'm happy that now with my podcast and networking, like how I met you, gives me the opportunity to go out and meet people.
Right. That's exactly what happened with me. I wasn't doing anything and I kind of felt like I needed to do something.
Yes.
And coming to a new place, I didn't know anyone. So it was my opportunity to meet people, make friends, and really, make connections. So absolutely. So we have to hear why the podcast. Are you okay to talk about the whole idea with the trauma and that you're a survivor of that?
Yeah, absolutely. That is why I started my podcast. The message is twofold. Number one, I am a survivor of armed robbery and abduction. Life trauma, I call it. And so I wanted to use a podcast platform as a way to share my story, but also to allow other survivors of trauma to share their story, because a lot of times talking about it is part of the healing process. And then the other side of my podcast is it is coupled with a supportive law enforcement message. I was asked, Jen, how did you all escape? We didn't escape. We were rescued by law enforcement. So I have a real life story as to why we need our law enforcement and what it's like when you call 911. And for me, I can't imagine if that dispatcher would have said, we're sorry, we don't have an officer available to help you right now. Because you'll find in my story, I actually had a medical emergency going on at that time. Aside from being abducted, and there was 9 of us, I have a lady having a medical emergency. So I have a lot of respect and thankfulness for our 911 dispatchers, which it happens to be National 911 Telecommunicators Week.
Wow.
And then also our law enforcement.
Right. I agree. Do you want to just touch upon what happened to you?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll give you the shortened version because otherwise we'll be here.
Because it is on your podcast and I have listened to that. So just, so people can understand where your trauma is coming from.
Sure, absolutely. So it was about a decade ago in retail. I was at work, store manager, women's clothing store. It's a Saturday, so busiest shopping day of the week. It's about 7 p.m., still light outside. And we were in a strip center. So I had like Target on one end, Best Buy on the other, like very busy, right? I'm in the fitting room helping some of the ladies, and the fitting rooms are located in the center of the store, so I could not see my front door when I was in there. But behind me, I hear, "Give me all your money." And I stopped because I'm used to, "Can you zip me up? How does this look?" type thing, right?
Yes.
So again, I hear, "Give me all your money." And I turn around and there's a man with a mask pointing a gun at me, and he's close enough that I could touch the gun. And I remember I looked at the gun, and then I looked at his eyes, and then I looked at the gun, and then I turned and I started to head toward the register area. There were 8 other people there, including children, and I could see him wave the gun for them to follow me. We get to the register. The other customers had lined up in front of it. He took their money. I emptied the cash drawer, and I remembered, so as to not speak, I held up the till that only had the change in it, and I kind of did a Vanna White of, "Do you want the change?" without asking him, because I didn't know. Right. And he said no. So we had 2 drawers, so I cleaned them out, and he asked me if we have a safe, and I said we don't have a safe, and I could tell he wasn't convinced of my answer, but we didn't have a safe. Right. From there, he saw the door to the back room, and he was like, "What's that?" And so I told him, I said, "That goes to my back office, storage, things like that." I knew that that's where he was going to send us. And I had this out-of-body experience where I was not aware that I was a mom or a sister or an aunt or anything. I literally became this ultimate protector of these people. It was an intense feeling that I had never felt before. But all I knew is I had to protect them at all costs because he took our money. I didn't know what else he wanted, right? I mean, it's light outside and he's still in the store. Like, what are you doing? Yeah. And so I had all of them go in front of me to the back, because if he was going to shoot somebody, I needed it to be me. Because I wasn't going to be able to live with the fact if somebody else got hurt, right? So we're headed towards the back, and he stops me again and asks me, "Where's the safe?" And again, I said, "We don't have one." And I could tell my answer irritated him. So now we're in the back in front of my desk. We're lined up. He has me pull the landline out of the wall. That does date my story. And then I hear you laughing. And then he asked for our cell phones. I watched, everybody give up their cell phones, and I still had mine in my pocket. Keep in mind, back there was one more room that we had added on, and it was for the district. It had hangers and fixtures, things like that. Okay. He asked about it, and I knew instinctually that's where he was going to put us. And I knew when I turned to walk in there, he would see the outline of my cell phone in my pants. So I gave him my cell phone. We're ushered into the room. He's in there with us. And I remember being just lined up along the back wall. There's crying, praying, just sensory overload, right? And so he looks at us and he says, "Don't say anything and nobody will get hurt." And nobody, is saying anything back. He asked me about the door and if it had shut. I never shut that door ever. It was newly constructed. So one more time, he tells us, "Don't say anything and nobody will get hurt." And he goes over to the door and he pulls it shut. And I will never forget the sound of the wood scraping. You know, the first time you pull a door shut, that scrape and then that like thud from the pulling it so hard. So he has now left, and we are in this room, and I look over at one of the customers that I had been helping on the sales floor, sweet lady who had already been dealing with some tragedy, but she was starting to have a panic attack. And so I go over to her, and I pinned her up against the wall, and I literally, like, I have my hands on her like this, and I'm trying to hold her up so she doesn't fall down. But I was losing that battle, and I had to call somebody over to help me so she didn't fall. I hear the doorbell go off, the front doorbell. And I was like, okay, maybe the robber left. All right, that's good. Now this lady is on the ground having a panic attack. And if you've ever seen somebody have a panic attack, it's a helpless feeling because it's like they can't breathe. They're breathing, but you feel like they feel like they're drowning and you know, just anxious. I hear the doorbell again. It's amazing when you are in a high stress situation, what you are aware of. It's really kind of crazy, and I didn't realize it till after the fact. So now we're stuck in this room. I've heard 2 doorbell rings. I don't know what's going on outside this door. Fortunately, my other sales associate had her cell phone. She had put it in her bra and pulled it out. And I told her, I said, get behind me, and I need you to call 911, but I need you to stay hidden. I don't know if anybody heard the doorbell rings, but I did. So I wanted her to be hidden. So if the robber did come back, he didn't open that door and see her. She called, gave him the location, hangs up. Now this lady is having a seizure. And I'm like I know how to put on a Band-Aid. So I'm really over my head, and I'm like, feel helpless. And again, people are like, Jen, did you panic? And I said, the moment panic started to set in is when she started to have that seizure.
I would think so.
Because I couldn't let anything happen to these people, but I somehow choked that down. And I said to my sales associate, give me your phone. I was like, I have to call. And I call, and that 911 dispatcher took somebody who all she had was a voice. All she had was my high anxiety, stress description of what I'm looking at and what I'm dealing with. And she was able to keep me calm enough to get that lady stable until finally that door pushed open. I had a moment of fear that it was the robber. But when I realized it was law enforcement, I'm going to tell you, everybody breathed. And the stress, the responsibility that I had felt on my shoulders had been relieved because now the protectors were here.
Right.
You know, there was a sense of feeling safe, even if it was just a little bit more than what I had been feeling a minute before.
Okay, hold that thought. We have to take a quick break, and we are going to be back. The suspense, but we know I need blue, and we know the blue came to the rescue.
Why hire Cantwell & Goldman? At Cantwell & Goldman, PA, we take pride in what we do. That pride translates into better client service and better client results. At Cantwell & Goldman, PA, we provide high-quality legal solutions for individuals and businesses in Indian River and Brevard counties and throughout the state of Florida. Our experienced attorneys can help you with a range of legal issues, from defending a criminal charge, assistance with a commercial or residential closing, business transaction, or estate planning and probate matters. We are a full-service law firm specializing in estate planning, including trust and estates, as well as commercial and residential real estate and corporate matters throughout the state of Florida. Cantwell & Goldman, PA.
At Sunshine Furniture, our 35,000 square foot showroom is filled with the largest selection of in-stock coastal furniture on the Treasure Coast. Dining and bedroom sets, occasional tables, sofas, sleeper sofas, love seats, and chairs, including lots of slipcover styles from Universal Upholstery, Four Seasons, and Capri. At Sunshine Furniture, we have a gallery of Tommy Bahama and Lexington designed for a relaxed approach to the finer things in life. Right now, we have selected groups marked down for our spring clearance, and also all pictures, lamps, and accessories are half price. Sunshine Furniture, $12.95 US 1 in Vero Beach, next to Planet Fitness. Visit our website at sunshinefurniturecasual.com and visit our outlet and closeout store directly across the street.
Sunshine, Furniture, the best in every way. Have a sunshine day. Sunshine. Furniture, the best in every way. Have a sunshine day. Sunshine.
Who's got time to clean? When you need it clean, call Germ Wizards LLC. Using the most up-to-date equipment, Germ Wizards pays strict attention to detail. They make dust disappear. Whether you need your office to sparkle, your home to shine, or you want to give someone a great gift, hire the Germ Wizards. It's easy to get a quote online. There's even an online portal to discuss details directly with your cleaning professional. Visit GermWizardsLLC.com. Make dust disappear with Germ Wizards.
It's time to call Easy Brew Coffee and Bottled Water Service and learn just how much you can save and how convenient it is to have your coffee and bottled water delivered right to your home or office. In addition to water coolers, Easy Brew offers individual bottles of water in 8 or 16-ounce bottles. No more lugging it home or dragging it into the office. Serving the Treasure Coast for over 2 decades, 2 letters, 1 simple name. Easy for Easy Brew. Visit e-zbrew.com or call 800-792-3285. Easy Brew.
Need an enlightening pick-me-up? Visit Kristen and Cindy at Skinnergy, 599 Sherwood Avenue, Unit 110 in Satellite Beach, to energize your skin and keep it looking fabulous forever. Kristen can help with hair removal sugaring to keep your whole body smooth and conditioned. Kristen will help you refresh and defend your skin while giving you a customized facial. Cindy helps Skinnergize and get you camera ready for your everyday look or occasions event. Visit Kristen and Cindy at Skinnergy at 599 Sherwood Avenue, Unit 110 in Satellite Beach.
And we're back. That was some story. So now we understand the trauma and why you want to help people who have gone through traumatic experiences. Now, what was your aha moment that you decided, I want to do this podcast, I want to help other people?
So it's really funny because when I started my podcast, I didn't listen to podcasts. I just knew that podcasts, you talk, you can do interviews, things like that, right?
Right.
I liked that idea. My neighbor and I were kind of joking about, we have funny conversations. And he was like, oh, you should do a podcast. Well, I never forgot that. So like a month later, I was like, I have this story. I'm watching a particular narrative about our law enforcement, and I'm really feeling like there's the other side of it, meaning my side, that needs to have a spotlight. So perhaps it's time that I do something. I never really talked about my story. So talking about it was new. And a podcast I could do at home, mind you, COVID and everything, right?
Right.
So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I started to research Facebook groups for podcasters and found some equipment, and away I went.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
and you have some incredible podcasts already up and on your website and also your Facebook page.
Yes.
Tell us, we were looking last night. Tell us some of the topics that you've discussed on your podcast.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I describe it as I like to have the hard conversations, the conversations people don't want to have, because usually those are the topics that need to be talked about, right? So human trafficking, domestic violence. I have a female survivor, a male survivor. I have drug addiction, drug overdose, but also drug recovery as well. I have law enforcement. Our local sheriff Ivy graced me with his presence. Yes. I was early on, and I was just so happy that he showed support, which says a lot about him and our community as well.
Well, I think the Blue do want that support. I think they want people to know that we do support them. We really do.
Absolutely. And it doesn't take much to show your support, to be honest with you.
Right.
But I also have an episode, to stay with the Blue, is about Blue suicide. I have a surviving spouse as well. So when I say we talk about the difficult conversations, the ones that are a little hard to talk about, we talk about it in a very kind, loving manner. Right. And if I can share, it's just audio. I do not do video. Right. I have guests who change their name because they want their identity concealed or whatever. And I do my own editing. So I have control of your message. You don't have to worry about talking to somebody else or anything like that. You talk with me. And I make sure you get to hear your episode before it goes live because it's your story.
Okay.
So you get to hear it before anybody
Yes.
else.
That's excellent.
Yeah, it's really about making you comfortable because, again, this is for you.
Right. And what do you feel you have gotten out of this?
Like earlier today, you said to me, Jen, I don't think that there's anybody else out there that does this.
Right.
And you're helping a lot of people just with your message.
Yes.
And that's what I get out of it. I always like to have an impact, even in retail. It's always
Right.
about how do I have an impact, you know? And impacts are not always numbers,
Oh, no.
right?
Right.
It's about that relationship and just creating that trust. And there's a need. And I want to fill that need
right.
for somebody.
And I also mentioned to you today, what about a non-for-profit doing something like that?
Yes, and you had asked me that question. Yes, I get asked that quite often.
Because I think so many people would love to know, how can we help? What can we do? You know, please
yes,
let us know.
I am a LLC.
Okay.
So I do operate as a business.
Okay.
It's just me. I do not plan to become a nonprofit.
Okay.
Things always change, but I do not plan to become a nonprofit because you have to have a board with, I believe it's a minimum of 3 people. I like that it's just me. I like that when I go to somebody and I say, it's just me that
Right.
you're going to deal with and nobody else is going to have an influence on your
Okay.
message.
Right.
I like that. It's challenging with funding.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have this podcast and whatnot. So,
Right.
excuse me, it's not free by any means,
Right.
but I have sponsorships available. I have advertising, and I have been blessed with just some people who are like, listen, I just want to help you. Here is some money to help you with, you know,
Right.
financial obligations monthly for software and
Right.
marketing and networking and all of those things. So,
Absolutely.
but I believe that I'm doing the right thing and
Oh.
I'm passionate and that it'll come to me. My husband works overtime. He doesn't want to be on camera, but I know he's over there laughing, but it is the truth. So thank you, honey.
Oh, that's wonderful.
But he's my biggest supporter and
Good,
I
great.
couldn't do it without him.
Right.
He's actually smiling, a proud
Yes.
smile.
Yes, for sure. Because
Yeah.
you're doing such a wonderful thing. So tell us a little bit about the sponsorships and where we can go to, you know, start helping you.
Yeah, sure. Well, you can always call me. My cell phone number is
Okay.
804-536-5006. There's additional information on my website, which actually you will find my episodes. You find fun pictures. There's a video of my studio. Anything and everything you ever wanted to know about I Need Blue
Right.
is at www.ineedblue.net.
Okay.
ineedblue.net, and you will find everything there. I've done a personal testimony for doTERRA, that deep blue stick. You and I talked about
Yes.
that. It works.
Right.
It was great. So
Sure.
I loved that opportunity.
Yeah, that is great.
Mhm.
And what else can you tell people? It's easy to get through to you also on Facebook, right? I looked up on Facebook immediately. Sure.
I have Facebook. I have Instagram. There is a YouTube.
Right?
I have some YouTube. Yep. Just some
Yes.
basic videos. Not any of my guests, obviously,
Right,
because
right.
we don't do that. But yeah.
Sounds good. And what if somebody feels they want to tell their story and they want to come on the podcast? Same way to get in touch with you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
There's a contact me on my website, ineedblue.net.
Okay.
And that comes directly to my email. And then from there, you know, if you're local, I meet with people. We have coffee.
Oh, wonderful.
And sometimes they just want to tell their story and don't want to
Yes.
be on my podcast, which is fine.
Right.
That's absolutely fine.
Right.
And then there are others that are like, here's what I have going on. How can I help?
Right. And also on your website, you have quite a bit of resources for people.
Yes.
So,
The Get Help tab.
yes.
Absolutely. That's one thing that's really important about my episodes is a lot of them are coupled not only with the guest, but a resource.
Right.
And I work with local, national, and international organizations as well, which is what's great about a podcast, right? I
Right.
do it all remotely.
Exactly.
But yes, so we tell our story, but it's really important that you know where to go if you can relate to that story, or if you know somebody who is going through it or has gone through it. and you've stood there and said, I don't know how to help them. So the goal is that we're able to give you some direction on how to help.
Incredible. Thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it. And please don't suffer alone. Reach out to Jen, reach out to us here on Mesmerize the Mirror at any age. Please, no one should be alone in any type of trauma. We are here to help. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.